Good evening, our viewers, and welcome to another episode of your daily show Achievements. I'm your host, Abdul Latif Al-Anazi, and tonight I'm with my co-host, Fatma Al-Hajri. Good evening, Fatma.
Good evening, Abdul Latif, and good evening, dear viewers. This is your program Achievements, where we talk about different topics with different guests. Please stay with us after this report.
A successful identity is built on things a person has done. Your most important accomplishments are a very important way for you to measure your success. Colleagues, competitors, and the general public can look at a person's achievements to figure out how successful they are. Most of the time, putting in a lot of work pays off. Most people think a successful life is one of a lot of things to be proud of. When you finish a task, you win over problems or other people. Achieve means to work together to reach a hard and challenging goal. Everyone should be ready to help out and work together if they need to. There are many ways to reach your goal, but in the end, it's up to you to decide how it will pay out in your life. In their careers, some people want to get rich and will be well known. Some people think that even small victories are reasons to have a party. We're all different, so we all have our own thoughts on everything. In the end, though, everyone wants to be happy, and everything you do in life will help you to get closer to that ultimate goal.
Welcome back, our dear viewers. Tonight we'll be talking to you about the future, as we are having with us a brilliant and genius mind right here in the studio. She is known as an entrepreneur, and she is in robotics and coding field and has a whole team of students and young inventors. Please welcome with us the genius, Mrs. Hamida Rahimi. Welcome, Hamida, for our show Achievement.
Hello, thank you for having us.
It's our pleasure to have you here.
Of course, it's really a pleasure. So as an entrepreneur, which is a really nice introduction for the guest, can you tell us your early steps on your passion and on this field?
Sure. I think it's all started when I was exposed to the internet and exposed to websites, graphic designing, animation. That was a field that I was very interested in knowing more about, and it was like a hobby I started while I was getting my bachelor degree in education, and I continued that even after I took my master's degree. And after I got my master's degree and MBA in business management, I decided to start up a company. So I started my own company in 2011. And it was very important for me to encourage businesses and projects to infuse technology in their business, because I really believed in how important technology is when it comes to automating processes, when it comes to empowering the human resources that they have.
Of course, you mentioned you're an educator, you studied education. So I think this is interesting that your passion is completely different from what you studied.
Well, in those times, sometimes we face something in life that we have to study something we're not interested in.
Of course.
So for me, I did not select the field of education.
It selected you, I think.
It was something, an opportunity that I had, the only opportunity I had, and I took it.
But it's nice to see you find your passion throughout that.
I'll tell you the story of that. Subhanallah, sometimes we go through things in life that we don't like, but we end up looking at ourselves 10 years after and seeing all of the things just falling in place. Like, I took this degree without wanting to be in the educational field, and I had this passion for technology, and I started a company in business. And after 10 years, I had a client who asked me to establish a coding club for kids. Now that requires experience in education, experience in business, and experience in technology. So the things, sometimes on the moment that we start something, we don't like what's happening. but we have to somehow feel that we have to continue and finish what we're doing. And after that, we will see ourselves in a position where all of that previous knowledge, all of that experience, all of the qualification we had, we can put them all in one place and we can make something great and amazing. Like, I had a lot of projects in my company. I worked in the F&B sectors, I went to the hospitality sector, in the industry sector, in factories. But my really favorite project was this club for kids, teaching the kids technology, empowering them with something that I really believed and I believed in and I loved. I started it for myself by self-learning. So that was the passion, putting it with the experience, putting it with qualification, and we made something amazing for the past 8 years.
I think
Well,
that's
thank you for that.
amazing, Abdul Latif.
It's really amazing.
Of course. Do you think that your home background affected you in making all these choices and be where you are right now?
Of course, there are a lot of things that affect us. First, we have the personality of the person itself. Like, from early ages, you can see a leader, you can see an entrepreneur, you can see someone who likes to be creative. And sometimes even being in a conservative family, conservative environment or community, it helps you or it pushes you to just try more. And by trying more and facing those
obstacles,
the
sometimes you have a lot of obstacles.
The social obstacles,
yes,
or the social, let's say, stereotypes. By facing those, you discover new things about yourself. And you find new ways of dealing with those obstacles around you in a nice way, but also achieving what you want. So you don't give up and you don't adapt, but
you have to find your way.
You find your way in a way that you don't hurt the people around you.
Of course, I think that's a very important thing. Of course.
Yeah, you actually found the perfect way to do what you
found
love.
her loophole.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really jealous about that because if I knew this advice, if I heard it from earlier, I would do a lots of good things to my life. But getting back to the line that you chose, which is really way harder than any other lines. So why did you choose it in the first place?
Now, we had a selection. I had a selection to continue as an employee or becoming an entrepreneur and having my own business. So the thing that made me choose being an entrepreneur is the feeling of having a lot of ideas, which when I explain to people, they cannot imagine it. So I have a dream, I have an idea. When I want to execute it, I saw a lot of environments. They focus on, let's say, the short-term achievements. They don't look 10 years. They don't look at the values. They are more commercial-based, let's say, projects. So what I learned a lot. I learned a lot in the 10 years working with different people, different nationalities, esteemed organizations, some of the best groups in Kuwait. But I also wanted to have something for my own ideas. So that's what made me take the risk, establish a company, work 24/7. Sometimes I used to work like for 2-3 weeks without stop. Without stop, I mean sleeping 2-3 hours a day.
When you first started your
yes,
own
for any
company.
project, yes, it was not easy. Becoming an entrepreneur is not easy at all. You don't have leaves, you don't have sick leaves.
It's a full-time job for you.
It's a full-time job, and you are the owner. So if anything happened, you can't go and complain to anyone.
Yes, you have to fix it yourself.
Yeah, and if you're sick, you can't take a sick leave.
Because
you
there's no
can't
boss.
apply something for yourself.
Yeah, there's no boss you can call and tell.
Yeah.
But
okay,
you're
unless
very
you
passionate.
send yourself
passionate.
an email, but that's like
Yes.
the irony was in the beginning for me. It's like the shift between being an employee, having a support of a company, being able to even blame someone for something that happens, and then having my own company where I only know that I'm responsible. It was my decision. If anything wrong happened, I am the one who has to solve things. I can't go to anyone else. So it was not easy at all. And there were a lot of decisions which had to be taken. But eventually, when I have a project and I see my ideas come to life, it was worth it.
Of course,
Like,
you feel
it
very
was-
rewarded to
it
see
was
your
very
dream and
rewarding.
your goals coming
Yeah.
true.
It was extremely rewarding. And with the last project we had, which is the coding club, it was amazing. Like, I felt the place was magical. Like, every single moment, every single day, we had something that was really rewarding, no matter how hard things were. And that is where entrepreneurs find their passion, they find their drive. Because once they feel, we fail a lot, but once we succeed, it's like it overtakes all the failures.
So can you tell us about the first time that you actually felt like this is the field that I want to explore, because you talk about it so passionately, so the way you stumbled upon it. Can you tell us about the first time?
I will tell you the first day when we started the coding club. So we spent a month and a half on R&D, research and development, looking at different robots, looking at the materials, the age groups, studying this, studying that, hiring the teachers, taking their feedback, training, putting up the program. On the first day of the program, I saw the kids and I saw how they're behaving. And I decided change everything immediately.
Why?
Because I saw like we just created a classroom in a school. And that was not the objective. We wanted to create something complementary to a school. So everything the school is not doing, that is something that we want to do. So once we saw that the place started everyone started to behave like a classroom, we changed everything. We are changing everything, and let's ask the kids. So we starting having like a customer-centric approach, what we call in business, which is having our client, who are the kids, our center, our focus. So we kept on taking feedback from them, knowing what they like, what are their interests. And we started to create the material, our training material, based on that. Like on those days, YouTube channels, being a YouTuber, being an influencer, it was something very attractive for an 8 years old.
Yeah.
We helped them to set up cameras, having their YouTube channels while they were coding. So instead of having the meaningless challenges, we will teach you how to create a good content that will show people what you are and will encourage them to develop themselves more. Like, we had a lot of situations where we had just to take like immediate decisions to change. And that is normal in any project in the introduction phase. After that, we found our stability within 6 months. After the 6 months, we started like finding new opportunities for the kids. We started to look for new things for them to do. So
this is at the time when you found, okay, when you found really yourself and at the passion, when you said to yourself, okay, the kids are doing well.
Looking at their eyes,
Yeah.
when they have an idea and they tell you the idea when they're shy.
Also, the
And
YouTube
then
thing is
you
really good.
encouraging
Yeah, it
them.
was amazing. I'm
And-
really impressed.
Yeah, encouraging them to say, yes, this is good. Let's work on your ideas. I used to give them resources and make them sign for receiving. 8 years old, signing, receiving the items he took because he's working on a project at home and he'll bring it back. So we dealt with them as if they are very responsible persons, and they give us that back. So it's like, when you respect them, they respect you back. When you appreciate them, they will start to listen, they will start to be more creative and giving in the way that they develop in front of you.
Of course, that's really perfect what you're doing for the kids, because that's actually what we need for our next generations.
Yes, yes.
So tell us, how did you empower yourself to do all of the things that you did on your experience?
For me, being a girl working in the private sector, it was not easy.
It's
Like,
really challenging, yeah.
It was very challenging. And for me, the way that I empowered myself is getting an MBA. Like, everyone told me, you're wasting time studying more. I said, that is the best place for me to get all the tools I need to be able to succeed in any projects I have. So it was a long project for me because I did it part-time, 4 years working and studying. But once I did it, I knew so many tricks. I knew so many loopholes. I knew so many things to do, strategies to apply, and that helped me a lot. Like sometimes we feel like we are wasting time in training, but really it's the training that will give you those tips. You're like taking the experience of years of experience within like 1 year. Like 10 years of experience in 1 year, and
It's
you
really
are
hard,
learning
yeah.
it from the best. So like having those courses, developing myself with even the online courses, it's something like that is how I empowered myself, like keeping on training and following up with the trends that's happening either in our market or even outside internationally.
Can you tell us more about your first invention? I'm really curious just to know.
Well, I would say the first thing I created was an animation file using Arabic font in a software that does not support Arabic font, in a very beautiful way and professional way, using this much code only. Like I was in a group with people from Germany, from Japan, and when I give them the file, I ask them, guess how did I created this? The files or the fonts is not there, those things are not there. How did I created it? So nobody was able to tell how I made this. And that was the moment where I felt like, even though I was at home in my room in front of the screen, that was it. Nobody knew what's happening, but that was so satisfying because I spent like 16 hours only to solve this mystery.
When it was exactly?
That was when I was 19 years old. 2000.
That's very impressive.
Two.
19, you're actually creating a
2002.
code with a different
Yeah.
language that wasn't there.
It's
amazing.
and this is something that we're teaching the kids now. We're telling them, learn the logic. I don't want you to learn the language, learn the logic. Because languages change, softwares change, a lot of things are changing, and it's changing rapidly and very fast. So the best way for you to be able to adapt to the new technologies that will come up is to learn the logic. Once you have it and you have Uncle Google on the side, you can Google anything you want, copy paste.
And of course, this way you teach the kids on this logic.
Yes, because sometimes when we go deeply into details, we lose the main interest of the bigger goal, which is being creative in problem solving, being creative in the thing that we're creating or our invention.
And of course, Hamida, unfortunately, of course, we have also more and more questions, but as we come back, our ladies and gentlemen, for more and more after this report.
Hamida Rahimi. Hamid is an educator in robotics and coding. She has a bachelor's degree in education and a master's degree in business administration. Hamida also has a higher diploma in psychology as international counseling. She also has a total of 5 years experience in the private sector and 12 years entrepreneur, founder of several companies. She also has 8 years of experience in STEAM education and robotics and coding. Hamid is able to teach children of young age how to create and deal with robotics. Science and technology have become a part of Hamida's daily life. This is where she started her vision and started teaching it to children. Moreover, she has participated in the World Contest of Robotics with the kids that joined the contest. She made sure that all of the children understood the importance of robotics. In addition, Hamida assured that today, robotics is very important in our lives, and the importance of it continues to grow each day. Therefore, it is very significant for children to learn robotics and coding. Hence, it teaches children self-controlling, patience, and focus. Hamida enjoys most of her time teaching children robotics. She's happy to see the confidence in each child as he learns robotics system. Robotics is able to teach children patience and self-confidence. With time, the child is able to follow instructions and achieve a successful robotic system. Hamid and her team were able to participate in different tournaments with different ages of the children. Under his supervision, the team was able to practice perfecting a robotic system, art, zoology, coding, and mathematics. Children in Hamida's team were able to express how they feel during creating their own robotic system and how it encouraged them in a positive way. Learning zoology had a great impact on the children as they enjoyed learning it. Learning robotics was always interesting and fun because the children were able to create their own project and submit it to the judges to see which project won. It enhances the thinking of the child and gives him more space to be creative. This is certainly something to be proud of and a great accomplishment by Hamida that she continues to prove it with passion.
Welcome back, our viewers, as we continue our interview with our guest, Hamida. Of course, Hamida, you have 8 years experience as an entrepreneur and also an inventor. Can you tell us about your teaching methodology that you do also for the kids?
What we were following from the beginning is the STEM or STEAM education. This was a concept introduced by the National Foundation of Science in the United States in 2001. And this is a way that they join the different knowledges you're getting from different subjects: science, engineering, math, art, and technology.
All of it?
All of it together in one project. So the kids do not really have to think about those different things. Unconsciously, they are doing it all. Like when they work on a robot or they work on programming it, they have to think about the engineering part, they have to think about the science, they have to think about the math. To make it beautiful, they think about art. So they are using all of this knowledge without knowing or without labeling it. And because this kind of education has a lot of knowledges involved, if we have, for example, a child who is, or a learner who is interested, loves art more than science. He doesn't like science, he doesn't like math, but he likes art. You would see him more involved. And he will learn math better. He will learn science better because it's related to another subject which he likes. So connecting these subjects has a very, very positive effect on the learner's ability to have this commitment to continue, being patient, to wait for the end result and trying to make the project better and better.
Can you tell us more? I think I'm really interested about this experience. So can you tell us more in details about this concept that you created? Because I think it's amazing to see the kids going around into art, I think science, and even a lot of different topics, as you mentioned earlier, because sometimes, you know, kids, they're not so much into mathematicians and science,
yeah.
but to actually see that you actually created this concept that makes them interested and also to reach the end, which is the art project. So can you tell us more about the experience?
In this way of teaching, it's not only affect the learners, even the tutors. We had a lot of volunteers with the university students, and I was very picky when it comes to the business students or the students who said, I hate math. Like they are 19, 20 years old and they say, I don't like math, I don't want engineering. That's why I got into the business school. So we used to challenge them, okay, this is a project, start working on it. And after they finished the project, I used to tell them, you did math, you did engineering, and you did it greatly. The way that you problem solve was amazing. Your logic is amazing. Because we have all of that. I really believe that we have all of that in us. All of us, we have this. But it's like a percentage, or it's like the share of what interests you more. And that is where our learners from young ages, they think that they have only one interest. But they can really have a lot of things, like
and be good at them also, right?
Yes, they can be good. They can be good in music, in art, in science, in math, in engineering. They can love a lot of things. But unfortunately, the stereotype that happens in the society, that if you like the literature, then you don't like math and science. If you didn't like one lesson of math, you hate math. But it's something built in our brain. So we as humans, we can like think about math. We know math, we know science, and that is where God created us in this way. But
Which
we
makes it
have
also more perfect.
yes, of course.
So can you tell us about when did you start your first class for the kids, when you start teaching them robotics?
It was amazing to see how those kids' eyes started to sparkle. One of the main instructions I gave all the tutors, no matter what the kids says, no matter what our learner says, don't say no, don't tell them wrong answer.
But when exactly? At what year?
That was in 2016.
Oh, nice. Like
2016.
8 years ago.
8 years ago. 8 years ago. So we used to tell the learners, okay, that's a good question, but it can be an answer for another. Or that's a good answer, sorry. It can be an answer for another question. Or try more, think more. So we never give this negative feedback to give them the encouragement, to encourage them, to have this trust in themselves.
I think that's very important to actually always keep them encouraged. As you mentioned, I think this is a very important point. I don't think a lot of people really mention this or really focus on this kind of issue, because sometimes, you know, if you don't encourage the child or you tell them like, no, this is not the right answer, they get disappointed, they just don't want to answer any more questions.
They will not continue.
They don't want to even think about other things.
One of the behaviors that we noticed, especially with girls, whenever they do a code, they write a code, they run the code, they don't see the program function the way they want, they delete everything and they start all over again.
Why? Is it wrong this way?
I think they should focus on the issue.
Yes, they have to debug. They have to look at their work. They have to appreciate the time that they put in the project, and this is what we taught them, like some of the values. Like, you have spent half an hour thinking about this, writing this code. Why do you delete it? Look at it, try to read it, try to test it, and find what's wrong and solve it.
Of course.
This increased the rate of kids who were debugging. And we used to challenge them also, like try to do it like in different way, be creative. And we used to encourage them and reward them for that. Like, look, this person had did it with 6 blocks of coding. This person has did it with 5 blocks of coding. And we used to recognize them on our platforms. So that is something, or one of the things that children are afraid of. Because in school they want to be the first one to finish. Speed was not an evaluation in our class. They wanted to be all right. They want to have the correct questions.
Sometimes they can be wrong. Sometimes, and this is actually where they learn from their mistakes.
Of course, of course, exactly. This is where they learn. This is where they start to develop themselves and to explore new ideas. Another thing that we had in our class, never answer a question. So if they ask us a question, we ask them another question.
That's interesting.
So it's like questions until they conclude.
The answer.
Yes.
Of course, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's a brilliant way.
It was very important to make them explore the different ways of thinking, to learn the problem-solving skills. Problem-solving is not only by first time having the answers. It's like critically thinking about what are the other options, what can go wrong, what can I do, what are the resources. So we kept on teaching them this. And the beauty in our classes, where when we started to ask those children to teach, like I had a 6-year-old Saud, I can't forget Saud. MashaAllah, he was the happiest, most positive child we have seen. When he used to like code anything, he used to make this giggly voices and happy voices. So I made him a tutor, teaching bigger learners how to have fun coding. So that was his job.
Of course, it's fun coding, right?
Yeah, it's teach them how to.
But he was having so much fun. You wanted the rest of the class to join in.
Because the rest are so stressed. Because I don't want to make mistakes. No, don't look at my code until I finish. No, I want to be the first. And they used to like be very sad. Competitiveness is they have learned.
It's nice
their
to have
own
a little bit
competitiveness.
of competitive.
I think it's really good project,
yes,
Fatma.
of course, and I love the way she's teaching the children. It's an amazing way.
It's like, as I said in the beginning, we try to do something that they are not doing in school, giving them opportunities that they did not have before, and to discover themselves, because this is one of the biggest even issues I faced when I wanted to recruit people for my company. I couldn't find a person, or I couldn't find people who have passion, because they never explored it.
It has to be with the passion. Without the passion, they will not go through.
Because it takes a lot of energy, a lot of thinking.
At the same thing, yeah.
And they are not used to. They are not, when you ask them about their passion, they will tell you things, but they are not used on these things.
So Hamida, getting back to you, did Hamida achieve her goal or yet?
The last goal, yes. Our goal since October. Yeah. Our goal since October 2022 was to win global competition. And few days back, we got the results, and we got the second place world champions.
Congratulations, that must have been amazing.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, 2 teams of our learners, 8 to 11 and 11 to 14 years old, participated in a global challenge.
It was a global, like the whole world.
Global challenge, 300 teams, 13 countries.
And Kuwait finished with the second.
Yes, both of the teams achieved the second place, and the most beautiful thing that when the first place winners announced on their Facebook, they announced their achievement, they said, "We even beat Kuwait."
Yes.
Like, we are the strongest competitors when it comes to this field.
They were afraid, definitely, before that.
It was, our project was like, it was amazing. I was expecting the first place. The kids were expecting first place. But when we saw that the first place winner brought this, and this is very humble from them, like, this is something that also our kids have to learn, like, appreciate and congrats the other teams who you're participating with, who are working as hard as you are. So it's not only about winning, it's about appreciating the achievement as well. But that was like the most rewarding thing
you will never forget it, even the kids.
Yes.
Really, really thank you for that. I think it's really wonderful, right, Fatma?
Of course, I think it's amazing. We're very proud of you, and also the kids.
Yeah,
I think it's an amazing work. So do you think that this is the field that you're going to stay on, or do you think that maybe someday you'll change your field?
Someday I might develop it in a different way. But I think that, no, this is where I want to start to continue on working. Especially now, my motive is to have a better place for my daughter. So I want her to grow in an environment where she's looking at, or she is exposed to a very positive educational environment, exposed to participating in this competition, challenging herself in a positive way. So I'm doing, like, let's say 80% of that for her now.
Of course, I think that's amazing to encourage her in that field. Unfortunately, we have reached the end of our time. We learned so much from you, and it was a really pleasure to have you here in Achievements.
Thank you.
So is there something you would like to add, so our dear viewers are listening right now?
Well, I would like to encourage all the parents and educators, the teachers, to empower themselves with STEAM projects, education knowledge. And this is something that we are providing. We are providing training, the trainer program now, and also to give their children the opportunity to experience this, and not to experience in the short term, like 1 week sessions or a few hour sessions. They have to expose to STEAM projects for a period of 3 months, 4 months, to have all of these values built in their personality, and they would see great achievements.
Personality is really important for them. Yes. And before we end, I just wanted to say thank you, Hamida, for rising our country's name, especially in that global robotics tournament.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And thank you, all the viewers, for watching this episode. Hope you like it and enjoyed it. And we will see you tomorrow. And goodbye.